To give you a highly effective study resource for GS Paper I, Modern Indian History, I have selected 4 high-priority questions that directly target the most frequent themes in the UPSC Civil Services mains. Each answer is structured exactly how UPSC expects it, starting with a contextual introduction, breaking down the core points with clear subheadings, and closing with a forward-looking conclusion. Theme 1. The British Economic Impact and Deindustrialization. Question 1. How far was the Industrial Revolution in England responsible for the decline of handicrafts and cottage industries in India during the colonial period? 15 marks, 250 words. Answer structure. Introduction. The Industrial Revolution in England, mid-18th century onwards, transformed India from a premier exporter of finely manufactured goods into a primary supplier of raw materials and a captive market for British machine-made goods. This process, known as deindustrialization, systematically dismantled India's traditional handicraft and cottage industries. Role of the Industrial Revolution in England. One-way free trade. The British government imposed heavy import duties, up to 80%, on Indian textiles entering Britain, while British machine-made goods were allowed into India with nominal duties. Indian weavers using handlooms could not compete with the sheer volume, speed, and low cost of cotton textiles produced in the mechanized mills of Manchester and Lancashire. Loss of traditional markets. Beyond the domestic market, Indian textiles were aggressively squeezed out of their traditional foreign markets in Europe, Africa, and West Asia by British traders. Other aggravating colonial factors. While the Industrial Revolution provided the economic push, British administrative policies in India acted as the aggressive annexation of princely states eliminated the royal courts, nobles, and aristocrats who were the primary consumers of luxury Indian handicrafts, like Dhaka muslin or Tanjore silk. Forced commercialization of agriculture. The British forced peasants to grow cash crops, indigo, cotton, opium, to feed British factories, creating artificial raw material shortages for local artisans and driving up prices. The role of railways. The introduction of the railway network in the 1850s enabled British men not a natural economic transition, but a politically engineered tragedy. Lacking a corresponding growth in modern domestic industries to absorb the displaced artisans, this deindustrialization caused massive overburdening of agriculture, widespread rural poverty, and a series of devastating famines throughout the 19th century. Theme 2. Ideological strands in the national movement. Question 2. Since the decade of the 1920s, the national movement acquired various ideological strands and thereby expanded its social base. Structure. Introduction. The 1920s marked a major watershed in the Indian national movement. The suspension of the non-cooperation movement, 1922, created an ideological vacuum, leading to the rise of multiple alternative socio-political viewpoints that transformed a middle-class agitation into a vibrant, multi-layered mass movement. Emergence of diverse ideological strands. The socialist and communist left, inspired by the Russian Revolution, 1917, Chandra Bose popularized socialist ideals within the Congress. Concurrently, the Communist Party of India, CPI, was formed in 1925, focusing on class consciousness. Revolutionary nationalism, Phase 2, disillusioned by institutional politics, youths formed organizations like the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, HSRA, under Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, and Surya Sen, shifting the revolutionary goal from pure romantic. The All India Trade Union Congress, AITUC, 1920, and various Kisan Sabhas, framing the freedom struggle around agrarian reform and labor rights. Caste assertions and depressed class movements. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar led a powerful anti-untouchability movement, establishing the Bahishkrit Hidakarini Sabha, 1924, to demand social equality and political representation alongside freedom from British rule. Expansion of the social base. These varied ideologies allowed different layers of Indian society to find a personal stake in the freedom struggle. The working class and peasantry, mobilized through strikes and no-rent campaigns, making the rural masses the actual backbone of future Gandhian movements like civil disobedience. The youth and students, radicalized by revolutionary heroism and socialist student leagues, providing dynamic, energetic cadres for national mobilization. The depressed classes brought issues of structural social reform to the center stage of political discourse, forcing the Congress to adopt anti-untouchability programs. Conclusion. By incorporating socialist, working class, and social justice agendas, the national movement ceased to be merely a political demand for a transfer of power. It evolved into a holistic struggle for a completely reorganized, equitable Indian society, establishing the diverse pluralistic foundation of post-independence India. Theme 3. Comparison of nationalist leaders. Question 3. Analyze the differences between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore in their approaches toward education and nationalism. 10 marks, 150 words. Answer structure. Introduction. Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore were close contemporaries who shared deep mutual respect, yet held distinct philosophical, political, and rooted in mass mobilization against colonial rule. He utilized Swadeshi, boycott of foreign goods, and solidarity. Tagore's approach. Tagore was highly critical of aggressive political nationalism, viewing it as a mechanical Western import that breeds xenophobia and division. He championed internationalism and a cosmopolitan vision where India looked to synthesize the best of both Eastern and Western cultures. Differences in education. Gandhi's vision. He proposed Nai Talam, basic education, which focused on vocational training, manual labor, and character building. He believed children should learn a practical craft, like spinning khadi,